Welcome to Tilly's Trans Tuesdays. National Coming Out Day is approaching, so let's get into what can be a difficult and complicated issue for so many of us, coming out as trans. Hi, I'm Tilly Bridges, your host, and I'm joined by my writing partner, my best friend, my wife, our token cis representation, the lady I accidentally forced out when I came out, Susan Bridges. I didn't realize that when I came out as trans and you stayed, we're like still together, and then people would know you were bi, which you weren't publicly out as, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's the thing.
Our returning guest is Nazul Suli Sobrino, a storyboard artist for TV animation, who has worked at studios such as Nickelodeon and Titmouse. Her most recent credits include Max in the Midnights and Monster High. She is passionate about proper representation and inclusivity in children's media, especially in regards to LGBTQ+ and neurodiverse identities. As a Mexican-American daughter of mariachis, she has grown up with a strong importance on one's pride in their identity, as well as a love of music and performance. Outside of her work as a board artist, she enjoys playing jazz and writing music, trying out restaurants and new recipes, and playing in excessive amounts of D&D campaigns. Welcome back, Suli.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Okay, so I need to ask you about D&D because, did you get into it when you were young and always play girls? Because I sure did. Boy, was that a sign that I missed.
I actually didn't discover D&D until after it came out, but it is important to note that whenever I played just any video game where you had the option, I would always play as girls. So it's still predestined.
For no reason, right? It's just, I would make up so many reasons there are so many less women protagonists in games. So if I have the choice, I better play the woman just because of representation. And there was always excuses and never examining why. Did it occur to you why you did that? Did you know what was going on?
I think for me, I've never really felt tied to masculinity. And even before I'd come out, I was never presented very masculine or anything at all.
Yeah.
And with a lot of video game characters, that is exactly what they are. And so it almost kind of put me off. And so playing as girls, playing as female characters felt very comforting for me, actually.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a way to describe that or tie that to, oh, whoa, I'm going to be trans. I'm going to take hormone therapy and then this is going to be who I am. But it was just like this. It felt better. It felt right. It felt like I wasn't tying myself to a character that just felt really otherwise alien to me.
Yeah. Do you have the thing now where if a game doesn't give you the option of choosing or it doesn't have a woman protagonist where you almost don't want to play it? Because games that force you to be dudes now, I can't. It's really hard to bring myself to actually play them, even if it's a good game. It's just because I don't want even that experience of masculinity in my life. I don't know. I'm so turned off by it.
Yeah, it's a thing for me too. Maybe you can do what I do, in which I just kind of role play in my head a little bit that she just hasn't cracked her egg yet.
Oh, there you go. So if I get the new Indiana Jones game, Indy is trans, just doesn't know it yet. This is prior to her egg crack.
Yeah, I love that. It's a little piece of mind.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm going to try that. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, for you, what has been the most surprising thing about your transition?
That's hard. I mean, the whole thing feels unreal sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's like, oh, you can just take some supplements, inject yourself with the estrogen, and then I don't know, suddenly everything's different.
It
It's
changes
like
everything.
your
Yeah.
body changes, your mind changes, your like your mood changes. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, coming from a scientific point of view, it makes a lot of sense. But
Yes.
just from like experiencing it, like
Yeah.
you don't think it's going to make a huge sudden change in your life. It's like, oh, it does it for others, but will that do it for me? And then it does, and you're like, whoa, what? Really?
Yeah.
It just really took me by surprise, kind of like seeing the effects of
Yeah.
hormone therapy, of kind of how more natural it felt for me to just present myself to pick whatever clothes I like. I didn't have to like stand at my closet for like an hour deciding like
Okay.
what will make me like not look like a weirdo in public. I
Yeah.
can just like grab anything and I'm just like, this is natural, this is normal, and I feel good about it.
Yeah. Were you expecting, like you mentioned, the mental changes? And that's one of the things that surprised me the most, that I had no idea would even happen, is how much better I would feel in my thoughts and emotions and feelings inside my head. It just like, I feel like a whole person in there, and I had no idea that could even happen.
Yeah. And I guess to be very like open about it, I had severe depression for every year of my life that I remember.
Yeah, so many of us do.
Yeah, I feel like that's just a common experience with having to hide yourself, having to not live
Yeah.
your real self. And so I had been going to a psychiatrist for years before my transition. I had taken a lot of different antidepressants, I had taken anti-anxiety medications, just a lot of things to try to stabilize my mood and kind of give me will to persist.
Yeah.
And it really just turns out that I just needed to transition.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying that I've seen go around a lot in the community, and that transition will not necessarily fix all of the problems you have, but it will give you the capability to address those other problems once you address this one. Because
Yeah,
yeah, there's like no guarantee like going on hormones or socially transitioning even will help alleviate that depression. But when you take away this gigantic dark cloud over your life, suddenly it makes it so much easier, or at least possible, to deal with the other issues that you may need to deal with. So, in so many ways, it can be so, so beneficial in, I think, so many ways that we don't even know going in or can't even anticipate. They just take us by surprise.
and I agree. And I mean, I still have to do therapy. I still
Yeah.
take antidepressants and everything, but like I honestly feel like it was there was no way it would have been effective until I transitioned,
Yeah.
because it like I think the metaphor of it being a dark cloud is precisely what it is. Like it's blocking anything from else from working, because
Yeah.
it's you can't really help anything until you've come to terms with yourself as a person.
Yeah. Exactly. Very well said. If you had one piece of advice for someone just starting their transition, or if there was something you wish you knew ahead of time before you started, what would it be?
I mean, I don't know if it's specifically like something I wish I knew, but I wish I could like grab my younger self by the shoulders and just shake her a little bit and just be like, just go for it. Don't like tiptoe, like take the plunge.
Yeah. I think it can be tough when you're so scared, right? And like transition is slow, especially medical transition, right? You can't speed it
Yeah.
along. It's going to go at the pace it's going to go. But also, there's this fear when you start, right? That you're like, I don't know what this is going to do. I don't know necessarily if this is the right thing. And so I think you maybe do dip your toe in rather than jumping all the way in, for a lot of us
Yeah.
anyway. It's because you're so scared. And I think if you approach it more, from I'm going to go all in on this and see what I can get out of it, then that can possibly, potentially speed things up a little bit for you and make things get better faster. So, I mean, it's so different for all of us. It's hard to say, but definitely there's a very big bit of trepidation I see in a lot of folks just starting, and it's understandable. But yeah, it's going to go
Yeah.
better than you think, I think, for almost everybody. So,
I agree. And I think a lot of the fear does come from the social aspect of transitioning.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to lose the friends that you've made. You don't want people to judge you differently or start perceiving you in a way that doesn't feel correct. And like if you try it out and it's not what you expected, like then there's the whole idea of like, oh, I can't really take this back or anything like that. And there's just a lot of like small barriers that kind of build up together and they end up making a huge maze almost that just make it very confusing to navigate and figure out like, is this actually what I want to do? And will taking a plunge be beneficial? Because when you have like fear, when you are feeling trepidatious, like the natural response is to want to take it slow, to do it one step at a time.
Yeah. I think it's also important for folks to remember that you may not know, and this is getting right into what we're talking about this week, how people are going to react when you come out. And I know that you're afraid that you're going to lose people that you care about, and that may happen, and that's really sad and awful. But also, you do not yet know how many people, how many amazing people out there are going to support you and are going to love you for who you are. And they do exist, and they are there, and they are just waiting out there for you. And so you don't know how much love and acceptance and joy is waiting for you on that other side. And it's important to not think that you're not going to have that, to look forward to, because it will happen.
I'd struggle with it constantly.
Really?
Still.
Say more.
Well, because like I look like a mostly harmless cis woman. Like
you are very not harmless, but yes, you do look like a harmless
woman who is probably like, just looking at me, you would think she might be conservative. She might be one of us. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So like, I
mean, you don't dress like a conservative or anything.
No, but like,
you read as very queer to me.
I agree. You read very queer to me.
I'm going to be, I'm trying to find a day job. So now I'm like, I should grow my hair out. I should look more acceptable.
Sure.
And I'm sure I still have like coworkers that I worked with before you transitioned, but they have no idea that you transitioned, that I haven't told them.
Well, because you don't speak with them really much anymore.
Right. But like, because I've been looking for work, I've been in contact with some of those people.
Right.
And it's like, it just hasn't come up, but do I want to tell them? Do I want to know how they're going to react? I don't know, I
mean, like, I always want to know, because if they're going to react poorly, those are people I don't want in my life.
I know, and
exactly.
I think it's important, like, as you have said and others have said, you need to give people the chance.
Right. You have to give them a chance to accept you.
I hate giving people chances. It's true, because I do not forgive easily.
No, you don't.
And I hold grudges in my black heart.
You sure do.
So, but yes, I struggle with this because, like, I meet people on the street. Or I meet someone when my car's getting repaired.
Yes.
I talk to a woman and I don't reveal that I'm a queer person.
Sure.
That has happened.
Right.
So, yes, I still struggle with it all the time.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Even though there's nothing wrong with it.
Even though there's nothing wrong with it. Well, but we're going to talk all about that in this episode. But before we get there, Suli, do you want to remind people one more time where they can find you online after listening?
Yes, you can find me primarily on Blue Sky as a social media platform. You can find me at Suli, S-U-L-I. And if you want to look at my storyboard work or any of my professional credits, my website is nazulsobrinoart.com. You can also find the link on my Blue Sky profile.
Excellent. I also love that you are like the Suli on Blue Sky. Like,
I know, I rush to claim it.
So cool.
No, Julie.
I'm also like the Suli on Discord, and I always get like people on like who are like Suli like 01 or 89 and like send me friend requests to like ask me to give it up, and I'm like, no, this is mine.
They ask you to give it up? Oh, unacceptable.
Excuse me.
I would just cackle in their faces.
I am the Suli.
Yeah, you are. All right. Well, when people hear the words coming out, I think so many default to seeing it as a celebration, a joyous occasion, a party, and it definitely can be those things, but it is also much more complicated than that. And I want to be sure you realize right up front that while all queer people who choose to come out as their true selves share similarities, it is very different for trans folks than it is for other varieties of queer people, especially right now in this political climate we're in. I didn't have the word to describe my transness for most of my life, or a childhood where I could have come out and lived as my true self. But if I had had those things, I definitely could have come out at a really young age. But in the real world, that didn't happen. And I finally realized and accepted the truth that I was trans in 2014. And as I've mentioned many times in these episodes, I had a hard date I knew I could not transition until in 2020. It is personal, and unless we are good friends, I'm just not going to tell you for reasons that are my own. But it was nothing nefarious. No person was terrible to me about it and forced me to wait. But those 6 years were some of the hardest in my entire life, doing what little I could to start my transition in quote-unquote socially acceptable ways. See episode 9 of this show on body hacking for more. And I remember when a certain person was first elected in 2016, thinking, well, shit, how the hell do I come out in 2020 now when he'll still be president and his administration are so horribly transphobic? And given where we're at now in 2025, with him back in office and the onslaught of anti-trans laws ramping up even higher than his first term, I look back at the me of 2016 and feel like, yeah, she was right, but she had no idea how bad it was really going to get. But as the time when I could fully begin my social and medical transition drew nearer, I knew I couldn't not transition. I also knew I couldn't not come out. I'd spent a lifetime hiding and suppressing who I really was. And the pain of that was so great that I couldn't bear it a second longer than I had to, even knowing the extra danger it would put me in, given the way anti-trans rhetoric was ramping up. So just after midnight on January 1st, 2020, I quote-unquote came out to Susan here. And that's not really true because she'd known about and helped me deal with my feelings that I was trans all along. We have superb communication and tell each other everything. I highly recommend it. But that was when I told her I felt like I had to transition for sure. I felt like I was drowning. Episode 59 on gender dysphoria explains that further, and told her so. And even then, boymoding, as talked about in episode 74, was hurting me more and more every day and would only get worse and worse until I finally stopped doing it altogether. In early March of that year, I went to a Hollywood makeup artist who does makeovers for trans women, and it changed everything. This social media post I made that day shows up in multiple Trans Tuesdays because it was such a monumental shift in my life. And it reads, "Today I did something I'd been terrified to do for most of my life. I can't tell you what it is, but it's not dangerous, so do not worry. All I can tell you is that we only live once, and if you're wondering if you should do that thing that scares you, yes, go do it." That was the first time I ever caught a glimpse of the real me in a mirror. It wasn't even close to the real me, mind you. I have photos from that day, a lot of them. I can't really stand to look at them. They're perhaps the most dysphoria-inducing photos I have. Because it's that guy who was never me, but with the tiniest, most infinitesimal bits of the real me buried under so much pain. But it was enough. It was enough to know I had to do it for real. I was 100% going to transition. Suli, do you remember what it was like the first time you caught even the smallest glimpse of the real you in a mirror or a photo?
Yeah, I do. It was before I actually had started to transition, before I had come out. But I had known for a long time. And like my coming out story is very complicated, and we can get to that later. But I think a couple years beforehand, I had this friend in college who liked doing photography shoots, and they knew that I, at the very least, didn't have any connection to my birth sex.
Okay.
And so, kind of just like as a guise, because I did have friends at the time who wouldn't have been supportive and were not very understanding of being transgender or just like knowing about gender as a spectrum in the first place.
Yeah.
I was hesitant to even socially transition at the time. And so this friend of mine, they had offered to do a photo shoot for me where I was like, oh yeah, I can't go back.
Yeah.
And they said this is for like a fashion shoot, which was a lie, but it was just to, get people to get off my back about it.
Sure.
And then when I saw those photos, like that was that moment where I was like, oh yeah, I can't go back.
That's amazing. That's so similar to what happened with me. Like the lady that I went to, she also did photo shoots, and she had a whole like gigantic closet room, racks full of women's clothes in bigger sizes so that people could get the makeover. And then choose an outfit or two and she would take photos of them. And I didn't go that far. I only did the makeup. But that's wild that our experiences were so similar. It was, it's so hard to even describe what it was like the first time I saw myself in the mirror with the makeup.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
It's like your world gets shattered. It's like everything
Yeah.
around you just like breaks and crumbles apart, and you realize that you were like behind like a glass wall, and just that's a very visual metaphor, but I mean,
Yeah, but it's
it's
so
how
good.
it
You
feels.
just gave me goosebumps because that's what it was like. Look, Susan, confirmed. You see them.
Confirmed. You get
Yes.
goosebumps from a
Confirmed.
lot of things.
Okay, shut up.
But
Don't
yeah,
undercut this moment.
Yeah, it really is just like once you see it, once you like see it on yourself that this is a possibility.
Yeah.
I think that's what eliminates a lot of the fear and a lot of the hesitation, because for a long time you tell yourself like this isn't really a thing that can happen, and then you see it happen and there's proof of it.
Yeah.
And now you know everything for the rest of your life is going to be different.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit. Well, there it is. Oh shit. I wanted to ask you, Susan, that day, do you remember it?
Kinda, yeah.
What was it like for you when I came? Because I wore that makeup home. I was terrified. I drove home with it on and I came in and I didn't wash it off till I had to go pick up our kid from school. So what was it like for you seeing me like that for the first time?
I guess I just was like, oh, okay, I can see it now.
You could see it too. That's fascinating because she chose like really weird stuff.
Well, yeah, you looked definitely like a 40-plus-year-old career woman. Then now.
She did not give me the kind of makeup I would wear.
It wasn't awesome.
No.
But I do remember that she said to you, like, you can transition. You're going to be fine.
Well, we were in the tail end of a certain cretin's first term as president, and I had no idea if he'd be elected again. I had no idea how the next years would play out, but I wouldn't let that stop me. COVID hit and things were so bad, and I had no idea what the world would be going forward. See the essay on pandemic transition at
Tilly'sTransTuesday.com
for more. But I wouldn't let that stop me. So on July 7th, 2020, I came out to the world. I had come out to close friends and family throughout the week prior. And yes, that was a Tuesday. I'd already planned to do Trans Tuesdays from the start. Check out the very first episode of this show, What Are Trans Tuesdays, for more on how it's inextricably linked to my transition and my coming out. Now, this has never been included in an episode or even a text essay on the website for the entire time I've been doing Trans Tuesdays. But here's what I said to the world on that day. So, doing this in the time of COVID was something. I don't know what your pandemic project of choice was, but maybe not like mine. I'm still married to Susan, but as you won't recognize the handle change, you knew me as Dead Name. Hi, I'm transgender and my name is Tilly. There is so much I want to say, so much I have to say. Rejecting the white male society saw me as and told me I was means giving up so much of my privilege. Believe me, I know. But I'm still white. I'm 6'2". I'm not ripped, but I have obvious musculature, and I live in a safe neighborhood in the most liberal and accepting state in the country. The amazing friends in my life I've already told have been nothing but kind, compassionate, and supportive of me, every single one of them. I still have so much more privilege than many trans people, especially trans women of color, especially Black trans women. No trans person, no trans woman owes the world any more information than they want to provide. They're hesitant to be open about things, and for good goddamn reason. But I'm going to use my privilege. I'm going to be as open and honest as I can. I'll be making weekly posts called Trans Tuesdays to talk about transitioning, to talk about things in society you might not notice if you're not transitioning yourself. I don't claim to speak for all trans people, and certainly not even all white trans women. All I can offer are my own thoughts and experiences. But I hope I can increase understanding at least a little bit. If it helps one other trans person in any way, or if it helps one other person understand someone in their life who's transitioning, it'll be worth it. I want to help if I can. And I'd like to take a second to mention some people who've helped me, many who maybe didn't even realize it. I'm terrified I'm going to forget people, but these are people I absolutely have to thank. To the trans ladies who inspired me with their courage and heart, you made me feel as though I could be me. Lila Sturges, Magdalene Visaggio, Jamie Clayton, Nicole Baines, Dana Levinson, Laverne Cox, Christine Chester, and Lana and Lily Wachowski. To the writers and producers who made me feel that my being trans would never exclude Susan and me from working in the industry we love. Your visible support of trans people made me feel like this wasn't career suicide. John Rogers, Jennifer Court, Jeff Thorne, Z Chun, Amy Berg, Bo Yan Kim, Javi Grillo Markswatch, Jeff Lieber, David Slack, Jose Molina. To animation writers and producers and comics editors and publishers whose visible support made me feel like being trans would never exclude us from being hired. Margaret Scott, Ellen Trimity-Wolfke, Aaron Wolfke, Daphne Plevin, Heather Antos, Andrea Shea, Barbara Dillon, Bryant Dillon, Damian Wassel. There are so many things that went into me figuring this out, which I'll go into over time with Trans Tuesdays. But one very real corollary fear was if discrimination would prevent Susan and me from being writers. It's what we want most and are pretty effing good at, to be honest. Your support matters. All of my friends and their private support, and all the people mentioned in this thread helped me believe it was okay to be me in this world. Please keep supporting LGBTQ plus folks. You have no idea the lives you're changing. It honestly means the world. Look how long this thread is. See, I'm still me. Anyway, right, yeah, okay, I think I'm done. Who knows? It's all a process, okay? Come along on the journey with me. Maybe we'll all learn something. Oh, and if you're looking for writers of kick-ass hopeful sci-fi with blue sky imagination from what might be the only married cis woman, trans woman writing team around, are there others? Tell me, I want to know them. Susan and I would love to talk to you. Tilly Bridges, end transmission. And I didn't plan to end my coming out that way. It just happened as I wrote it, and I liked it so much, well, it obviously stuck. And I tagged as many people mentioned in that post as had accounts. And then Lily Wachowski and Jamie Clayton both liked the tweet about them inspiring me. And since then, Lily and I have talked several times. She's one of the loveliest, kindest people on the planet. She even gave us this lovely blurb for when we were crowdfunding our short film Long Away. Quote, "Long Away is a soothing balm. Art that heals cracks in our hearts is vital now more than ever. More, please." When your heroes turn out to be wonderful people, yeah, that's the best thing ever. All right, Suli, so you hinted at this a little bit earlier, but what was your coming out like? And who did you like come out first? How did it all go for you?
Just quickly before that, I guess something about your coming out.
Yeah.
Like, I think a large thing that stuck out to me was, the support from people, the support from like coworkers, from heroes, like that. It's a huge important thing that really adds to just feeling like you can do it, feeling the inspiration. And so I know there might be listeners, I know there might be trans kids and teens out there who don't have that support, who don't have people around them that might be able to uplift them like that, or even like having heroes and role models. Like sometimes that might be hard to find, especially like you're kind of in a little bit of a bubble. And so if there are any cis like listeners, I think support your friends, support your trans friends, but at the same time, like I think that's a large part of like why my own mission personally is to try to do that with animation, because I think in a sense, like even seeing it in fiction and media, like seeing trans characters, seeing someone that gets to live that life and be happy just on the screen, like I think that really can help, that can really give people support. And
absolutely, it's so important to see yourself in the stories you watch and know that you can be part of those worlds too, right? Like if I'd seen a TV show or like a cartoon, anything as a kid that had a trans woman in it, and it was like, look, they can be the lead character too, and they can just have adventures like other people or whatever, that would have changed my life. So you're absolutely right. It's so important.
And so I feel like that's what I'm trying to do with my life. But I just really appreciate that you highlighted that, and that was a part of your coming out process, that it is so much about the support.
It absolutely is. And I want to get to your coming out story, but I just want to also say to cis folks, like, you have trans people in your life, even if you don't know it. They might not even know they're trans yet, or they might not have told you because they don't feel safe. So if you are loudly supportive of trans people and trans rights, that helps more than you will ever know. That lets them know they will be accepted by you if they come out to you, or if they later figure it out and transition. They know that you will be there and support them. That makes a difference so much to believing we can actually do it.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so what was your coming out story then? How did it go?
Okay, so I mentioned in the other episode, but like I come from a Catholic Mexican family,
Right.
and so like I mean, one, I don't have the privilege of being white. I am a person of color.
Yeah.
So like it's already a little bit hard mentioning the Trump administration. Like I've got the double whammy of
Yep.
like targets on my back. But yeah, like it's a difficult place to be in. And so I was very trepidatious. I was very
Sure.
scared of coming out. And I had known for a very long time, maybe since like middle school, that I was a woman, but it just I kept it to myself. I didn't let anybody in. I was
Yeah.
very guarded, and I was not someone who I was never very masculine in the first place. Like when I did come out, a lot of people told me they weren't surprised just because of the way that I
Yeah.
dressed, the way I presented myself. I always had long hair. I had like a strange amount of pride in my like waist and hips as a supposed man in my teen years, but you
Yeah.
know, it's like
I love that
it
response where they're like, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So it wasn't a huge like change for me physically because I was already just kind of gearing myself towards that.
Sure.
But nonetheless, there's a big difference between like an effeminate male versus like being a transgender woman.
Right.
And so I had, tried to express myself the best I could that way for a long time just to get through the years. But I had always been very, very afraid of friends who were loudly transphobic
Yeah.
around me,
Mm.
or my family, or my dad, who, just embodied the like head of the household machismo, like
Yeah.
father from like a Mexican family. Like it's exactly, if anyone listening like has experienced that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And like, there's like Spanish is a very gendered language,
Yeah.
and like being Catholic is very woven into our culture.
Yeah.
So it's like hard to kind of really feel like there's any places you can really grip onto to escape. And like thankfully, like my mom was very progressive and very outspoken about being progressive because she went through a hard life. And like this is my I guess my sidetrack for a second, because my mom inspired me a lot. Like mentioned in my intro, she was actually the first woman mariachi in the United States.
Wow.
She was
That's
amazing,
amazing.
and like people always told her like this is a male profession, this is like men play mariachi, women don't play mariachi. And so there were women mariachi in Mexico already, but they were few in number, and a very like outspoken minority. And
Yeah.
so my mom was the first in the United States to do that. She also formed the first all women mariachi group in the United States,
That is so cool.
and she got to represent Mexico in the 2008 Beijing Olympics.
Wow.
And so she was just
Wow. This is
always
so
someone
cool.
who defied gender norms and
Yeah.
like said like tradition, like she loved being Mexican, she loved having tradition, but if any tradition was just not fair to her as a woman, she would say we need to move on from it, we need to grow and be better. And so she did it, and
I
that
love
inspired me a
that.
lot.
Yeah. Wow.
So like that was a large part of my coming out. But like aside from her and my sister, who was also very progressive and like very supportive, I did struggle to find like purse, I guess, where I could really be myself or express myself. And it just built up, and it became unbearable for a long time. And so the hard thing about it is that I was looking for any way, any step forward, and I was just too afraid. And I don't call myself courageous, and I know it is very courageous to transition, but like I've always taken the approach of like baby steps, testing the waters, because I am afraid of pain, I'm afraid of rejection, and it's something I've struggled with my entire life.
Relatable.
And I was especially afraid of my dad, who had said things in the past, like, or he had given me the purpose to, pass on his last name, to spread his seed. I mean, word for word, spread his seed.
Wow.
To be the next step in the Sobrino lineage, and that if I couldn't do that, because this was when he thought I was like a gay man, because I was so effeminate. Like, he had told me that like it's still his household, and if like I couldn't be a part of the Sobrino family, then I could always be on the streets. I could always.
Whoa. Oh dear.
Like there was the threat of being disowned.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was just a big fear of mine. And in hindsight, it was because he was actually bisexual, and he was suppressing that and taking it out on everybody.
Plot twist.
So I know, right? But yeah, like in 2015, my mom passed away, and it kind of just gave me this vigor, I guess, to live my life happy, and like, because that's all she ever wanted for me, and she told me all the time that she wanted me to just be happy.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of like everything built up, and it like all came out at once. And so I actually did come out on National Coming Out Day.
Wow.
So that's why I thought it was very apt.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that when I picked you for these episodes.
I was so excited when you brought that up. I have a story.
Yeah.
But again, like, fear had overtaken me. And so like knowing that my family and my immediate friends just like didn't really know a lot about being trans or just gender as a whole, like, and I know this is wrong, and I know this is not what it means, and it is not it's like I hope that my stupidity at the time gets forgiven. But at the time, being too afraid of making the big jump of being like, I am a woman, I am the exact opposite of what everyone is like perceiving of me or being told that I am. Like, I actually came out as non-binary.
Okay.
Because it just like seemed like an easier step to be like this middle ground enigma. And I know it's not necessarily middle ground, and that's a bigger problem that like I have addressed since, and that just like I just was too afraid to really make a big change. But I come out as non-binary, just that way, like if I wanted to dress more feminine or even like gender neutral, that I wouldn't get anyone giving me any kind of like flack for it.
Sure.
And I had told people to use they them pronouns for me and everything, and then I just knew it wasn't right, and it wasn't feeling right. I don't know, I think a lot of people actually took that worse, because there was the whole thing with like the Trump administration and quote unquote gender ideology and all of that.
Yeah.
And I had like kind of realized that that was a mistake on my part, that like even though I already knew that it wasn't a middle ground, I was just like, I don't know, I didn't like treating myself like doing like the half measure of being something that I wasn't still, just because it would be easier. And not that non-binary identities also have it easy, but just knowing it was coming from the perspective of like, this is a Catholic Mexican family. These are people where, again, our language is gendered. Things are either masculine or feminine, and that's such a huge jump. And when I say Catholic, by the way, like my Nina's house, I love her to death. She has like crosses on every single inch of the wall. We have like She had like
Wow.
a 5-foot portrait of the Virgin Mary in like a shrine in her living room. Like it's a little
Wow.
terrifying.
Okay, yeah.
So with that context, you can understand my trepidation.
I can. And well, let me just say really quick, I don't want to interrupt you, but you shouldn't feel too bad about that, because we all have to approach the people in our lives, especially in a situation like you were in, where you don't know how they're going to react, but you suspect it's not going to be good. If you can soften it, like, and again, it's not to say that being non-binary is any easier than it is to be a trans man or a trans woman. They are as oppressed as everyone else is. But in the people that you're talking to, if they would view that as not quote unquote as bad, then I think you did what you had to do because of the situation you were in. So I wouldn't feel bad about that. And, a lot of people also even change, so they think they're non-binary and then they find out, no, I'm actually a trans man or a trans woman, or the
That's
other way.
true.
And it shifts, and they a lot. I thought I was a trans woman, but I'm actually non-binary more or so, and so I think just try to show some kindness and compassion to yourself. You were doing what you had to do.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I guess like nobody's journey is easy, and I mean
Right.
I'm sure there are people out there who have even harder barriers than I did,
Yeah.
and so I think yeah it was just mainly to soften the blow, but like
Sure.
that's the point that I'm getting at, I guess, is that even then I was thinking about everybody else and not myself,
Right. Yeah.
and like I've just always had grown up that way, like that I need to appease others because that's what's going to keep me safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then 2016, the Trump administration had rolled in and everything went that way. And so I don't know if it was just the buildup or like that I already knew I was unhappy with the pronouns that didn't fit me. But rather than kind of try to ride out the administration and, play it safe, I actually like got filled with spite. And so I like fully came out as a trans woman.
I love that,
Like,
though. Let that spite motivate you.
yeah, I entirely out of spite. I was like, yeah, this guy sucks. But anyway, like I'm just gonna be my real self because
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I refuse to be put down by people.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I wish something else motivated me.
Sure.
I wish I was able to be like, I'm doing this like for myself. I
Yeah.
wish I'm doing this because it's the right time. But I was so tired of it. And I had lived so long, not only not being myself, but taking it a step further and just being what everyone wanted me to be.
Yep.
And I couldn't do that anymore. And
Yeah.
so like I didn't make a big I made a big coming out post for like saying I was non-binary on National Coming Out Day. But then the following year I didn't make a big post. I didn't make a big deal of it. I changed my pronouns on all my social media. I just changed all my descriptions. I told my closer friends and my like sister and everything, and I just started doing it, and people
Yeah.
caught on because I was putting it in their face. And like, I mean, I don't know. I think it's the confidence came with it after I started doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant like at the very beginning of this episode when I was saying just take the plunge. Like everything that had made it harder was myself, was trying to think about others, was trying to worry about everything bad that could happen.
Yeah.
But everything good needed to come too. And like my life is such a better place. I have confidence now. And I think you also mentioned this, but like the people who don't accept you don't want them in your life anyway. And it's scary
Right.
to lose people, but you will find the people who are right for you, who will accept you, who will love you for who you are, and who will also see your confidence in yourself, and that will inspire them as well.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Exactly right.
And so even though I didn't have my like official like big coming out as a trans woman, as the person who I am, I still remember the date I decided on it. I still remember like everything, and it was so monumental for me.
Yeah.
It just is this, like it's the day that I started living.
Yeah.
And even before that, like the first year of coming out, like I hadn't reached that yet, but it was still such a big step for me. And like coming out is scary, and I like that you mentioned that it is different for like trans people,
Yeah.
because it really is this big scary thing, because the world's against you, and there's a lot of like fear that you won't be accepted. There's a lot of fear that like things will go wrong for us, especially with the current administration. And like
Yeah.
I still have a lot of fears about myself with my own body, if like people perceive me as a woman when I'm out, because I am also very small. I'm 6'3",
Yeah.
and I haven't done voice training. And while I do look feminine, because like I've been taking hormones for 8 years, so I could like pass as a cisgender woman, which isn't necessarily the goal, and not necessarily the goal for everyone either. I just want to look how I feel good.
Right.
But nonetheless, like the hormones have done their things. I've had a couple of surgeries. Like it does add to feeling like this is my body. But nonetheless, like there's always going to be people out there who are like, women can't be 6'3", or women can't have deeper voices. And
Mm.
so they're like, no matter
I
what
think your voice is lovely.
Thank you. But I guess like no matter what you do, there's gonna be opposition.
Yeah.
But I guess in the end, like I still think the good outweighs that, because like even when there is opposition, for every other moment, living as yourself is like a huge weight off your shoulders, and
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like this like swamp that's dragging you down.
Yeah. Absolutely right. These, like, I've been out for 5 years, and they have been the best 5 years of my life, even with what's going on with like all the anti-trans laws and stuff right now. It's still
Exactly.
better than living my life pre-transition. So it's, yeah.
And tall women are hot and can reach all the way to the back of the pantry.
It's true.
All the way up.
And
This is
plenty
true.
of
This is
cis
true.
women are very
I am so
tall
short.
and have deep
Yeah.
voices.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So it's like they're just moot things. Like some people are just gonna be cruel or rude no matter what
Yeah.
you do.
Exactly. Those people are just assholes.
That's true.
Yeah, you might as well like just find the good people and live
Yeah.
your life and be happy and not be afraid of everyone else anymore. And that was the biggest step for me. Like I have not only confidence in myself, but I feel like I have autonomy. I feel
Yeah.
like I can make my decisions for what I want and not for what everyone wants of me.
That's beautiful. And I'm so glad you got there.
Thank you.
Friendos, I regret to inform you that you don't just come out once. As I mentioned, I came out privately to some family and friends before I came out publicly, but then I also had to come out to the DMV and the bank and our AAA car service and our auto insurance and. There's a million services and websites you need to change your
That's so
name
true.
on. And for some of those, you can't do it without contacting someone at the company and having to come out to them too, just to get them to change your name in their system. It is a long and exhausting process. I had to take them one or two at a time so I didn't get overwhelmed, but I did it for most of them. Some of them I never even bothered with. For more on how wrong that can go, see Discriminatory Bureaucracy, and for more on how right it can go, see Inclusive Bureaucracy, both at
TillysTransTuesdays.com.
I've also said this a million times, and aha, now I have an episode to point to when I say it again. Coming out and being ourselves, showing our joy, living as our true selves, inspires others to do it too. As you saw and heard, I thanked the trans ladies who inspired me. Others who came before inspired them. I've inspired others since I came out, and I'm not self-aggrandizing. People have directly told me, especially due to these essays and my book, Begin Transmission. So if we can come out, if it is safe for us to do so, it is vital, not just for us, but for every trans and non-binary person down the line who will see us and believe they can do it too. This is one of the key questions Matrix Reloaded explores in its trans allegory. If we knew how truly difficult cis people would make our lives when we come out, would we still come out and transition? And the answer is yes. But why? Why? We do it for ourselves because we deserve to live authentic and happy lives. But just as important is that we do it for them, for those who come after, for the one person who sees us smiling and joyous and thinks they can do it too. We can save ourselves and we can save each other. Look, just read Begin Transmission, the Trans Allegories of the Matrix already, will ya? Okay, thanks. But it's not as easy as just coming out, is it? Because for so many of us, it's not safe to come out due to geographic location, political and legislative and physical violence, the possibility we'll lose our homes and jobs, which happens a lot. Listen to the 2022 U.S. Trans Survey Report, Part 4 in Episode 124 for more. Even when we know people will accept us, there's still a chance they won't. I was terrified the first time I told Susan here that I thought I might be trans. I was terrified on January 1st, 2020, when I told her I felt like I had to transition to survive. I was terrified after my makeover when I told her I knew I was going to transition for sure. Now, she has been nothing but wonderful and loving and supportive the entire way. She has never been bigoted or hateful towards anyone, including trans people. But so many times, for so many of us, even those with spouses or family who are entirely supportive of trans people, we see that quote-unquote entirely supportive isn't true as soon as it's someone in their lives. Suddenly they'd have to be seen with us, and that changes how they're seen, and now they absolutely cannot have that. Guess what, friends? That's transphobia. See cis spousal and partner support in episode 71 for more. Suddenly their cis grief, which there's an essay about at
SullyTransTuesdays.com,
is more important than us no longer living a torturous lie and being in pain for our entire lives. And that is bullshit. None of us should have to deal with that, but the reality is that we do, and that makes coming out an incredibly complex and difficult thing. Did you have any situations like that, Suli, with somebody that you were like sure was going to accept you, but then you were still scared to tell them because there's that tiny little voice that says, what if they don't?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, it definitely was with some of my friends. I've had this friend that I've known since like second grade, who to this day is still a very close friend of mine. But like since he had known me through all of my life, I was afraid that it would be kind of like a betrayal of like who I was to him. And so for a long time, it was very difficult for me to come out to him and be myself around him. And I think like he did get the message when, I just kind of started transitioning out of spite. And it ended up not changing anything. But like, some of our interests like that we used to have like changed.
Yeah.
And I think he was a little reluctant to let go of those interests because it was like quality time that we shared. But once he adjusted, like it became better, and like I'm happy to see him whenever I do now, and I'm like glad. And we had other mutual friends that didn't see it the same way, and they did end up just like cutting ties with me. But like I think partially because he's known me like his entire life, I think he just realized that he was steadfast in it and that it was more important to keep the friendship. And I really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
And like kind of going into the thing with cis grief,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna on the other side of the coin here, like there was a big issue with my dad who was experiencing cis grief, and I kind of knew he would experience it. And so like when I come out in 2015 to being a woman officially in 2016, like up until I graduated college in 2017, I had this kind of like crazy routine, almost like you can make a sitcom out of it, where at college, like I would be out as a woman, I would dress and present as a woman, and then my dad would like want me to come home for the weekends. And so like I would come home from class and pick me up in like half an hour after my class was done. And so I would rush home, I would wipe off my makeup, change all my clothes, get everything, get back into like you said, boy mode clothes.
Boy
And
mode.
then
Yeah.
yeah. And it was just kind of like this scary thing that like one time I like missed my eyeliner, and like thank God he was like, oh, I know you're like into theater and musicals and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, this is normal to him. But like yeah, like it was just a big crazy scramble that I had to do to kind of just avoid making that cis grief like let loose. And then like my big moment for me was like I had come out to all my friends and to people who followed me online, but I wasn't out to my family except for my sister.
Yeah.
And so when I had my college graduation, that was the first moment where I I graduated in the gown, of course, the graduation gown, but I had a
Yeah.
dress under. I was presenting as a woman, and I had them announce my name, my real
Yeah.
name. And so, like, I just decided, like, no matter what, I was going to do that. And, like, whatever happens to my family happens. And I was expecting more resistance from my family, and it just turns out that at that point in time, most of them were still supportive anyway. And my dad had the big moment of cis grief, and eventually he did come to it, like, accept me as his daughter and as a woman, and kind of like tried to make changes and reparations for every how he was before. And we
Wow.
still have a strained relationship for like other reasons.
Yeah.
But even if he hasn't been the best parent through my life, at the very least, like, again, other side of the coin, like, I was expecting my childhood friend to not take it well, and or I was afraid of not taking it well, and it did,
Yeah.
and he did. I was expecting my dad to never be able to take it well, and then just like things improved, and like I kind of feel a little silly for taking so long, I guess, to do it, to come out fully, and all of us wish we had foresight or hindsight, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if we knew everything would go fine, I'm sure I would have like started earlier too.
Yeah.
But like there is always just that fear of like maybe some friends, maybe some family are okay with like not really talking with, but there are others who you really just that change is so big that it's such a hard step to make, to like to sacrifice potentially or even just to put it at risk.
Yeah.
And so like I am thankful that at least with those people things went okay. I'm very, very thankful for my childhood friend, and I think that was substantial for me. And I think had either of them like not really accepted me, I think it would have been harder for me to have the confidence that I do now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that they both got there eventually, or at least are
Yeah,
working on it. So that's great.
yeah,
Well, despite the fact that in my coming out post I said all my friends and family accepted me without question, that is not entirely true. Because after that post, I had some people who I thought were friends get mad that I didn't tell them privately. They were upset that they had to find out with the rest of the world. And my mother-in-law has been especially terrible since that, and was routinely dead-naming and misgendering me to the point where even our kid stood up to her and told her to stop it. And now she just doesn't mention me at all. It's like I died or never existed. I'm not sure if that's better or worse, but either way, it's terrible. But nobody gets to tell you how to come out. Nobody gets to tell you when to come out or if you have to come out at all. I believe in the depths of my heart that we owe it to ourselves and to each other to be out and living as our true selves, but only if it is safe and the right time for us to do so. The sad reality is that for some people, it may never be safe or the right time due to outside factors in their lives. And we should not be angry at those people. Imagine how difficult that must be and the suffering they're going through. I know several people stuck in that situation who can only be themselves online or anonymously. I know the pain they're in. So let me wrap up with this. I want all of us to be able to come out and be our true selves. I want you to be able to come out and be your true self. I hope with my whole being that you're able to when the time is right and it's safe for you to do so, whenever that may be. If you can't come out, I see you. You are no less trans. See Trans Day of Visibility, Am I Trans Enough? In episode 13 for more. You are trans if you say you are, whether you can come out or not, whether you can or want to transition or not. Thanks for being here, Suli.
yeah. And if I may add one last thing,
Please do.
for all the trans folk out there who are struggling with coming out, who are unsure of what may happen, I just want you to remember and think and almost make this a mantra, maybe, that you are worthy of love and acceptance, and
Yes.
you are deserving of love and acceptance. And if the future is difficult, what really helped me get through it was just like coming up with things that I could look forward to. Like my big milestone that's coming up, I'm halfway there now. I never got to have a quinceañera. I'm gonna have one for my 15 years of transitioning.
Yes.
That's
Awesome.
amazing.
And so little things like that, you like you can make it up. Doesn't matter. Like it's your life, your transition, but like there are good things to look forward to no matter what, even if you do come up with it yourself. But no matter what, just remember that you are worthy of love.
Exactly right. Perfectly well said. And remember, folks, nobody gets to tell you how, when, or if you should come out. It is all up to you, and that is how it should be. And I hope with everything I am that one day soon you'll get to join us in the sun. When you're ready, I'll be waiting for you with open arms. Tilly Bridges, end transmission. Tilly's Trans Tuesdays is hosted by Tilly Bridges and Susan Bridges, with audio editing and sound mixing by Jillian Morgan. The written essay version of this week's topic and all past topics is available at tillystranstuesdays.com. Special thanks to Daisy and Jane for the use of Sorry Not Sorry as our show's theme music. Please stop by and show your support at daisyandjane.bandcamp.com and soundcloud.com/daisyandjane. You can find me at Tilly Bridges on Blue Sky and on Mastodon at tillybridges at mastodon.social, and you can find Susan on those at Susan L. Bridges. You can find Jillian at Audio Jillian on Blue Sky. You can join the Tillyverse Discord server by following the link at the very bottom of tillystranstuesdays.com. We hold regular watch parties for the Matrix films and other trans movies where I do a live Q&A, and it's blossomed into a wonderfully supportive, compassionate, kind community of friends. We'd love to have you join us. If you'd like to keep up with all the writing that Susan and I do, you can sign up for our newsletter at birdguestbroadcast.com. If you enjoy this show, please take a moment to leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts. The largest segment of our listeners find the show there, and more reviews equals a higher profile, which means it will reach more of the people who need it. Thank you for your support. For more information, visit pendantaudio.com. Thanks for listening. Wow, this is so cool!